Okay, so welcome to our Kleeneze training webinar. My name is Chris Smith from Ringwood down in the beautiful New Forest, and tonight's webinar is called Team Building for Beginners. It's one of a series of 8 that I run. The first 3, as you can see there, are mainly about the retail side, a bit about getting started, what to do in your first few weeks, and then gradually building up your customer base. And this one and the next one are specifically about team building. So today we're going to talk about team building for beginners, but hopefully those of you who have been around for a little bit longer than that will get something out of it as well, and also stuff to feel free to pass this on to any new team members that join as well. So, quick question for everybody: as a Kleeneze distributor, do you have to build a team? Anyone got any thoughts on that? No. Yes from Hoda. Okay. So a couple of different answers there, which is good. But the question is actually, the answer is no, you don't have to. But a good question for a lot of people to get them started is, do you think you'd like to build a team? And as I said there, the answer is that you don't have to build a team, and in fact most distributors don't. A lot of distributors join the business and all they're really interested in is earning that extra £50 or £100 a week. They know about the catalogue side to it, and it's the easiest thing to get started with. So a lot of them don't try to build a team. But it's really important that you and any team members that you do get know that you can build a team. And quite often what will happen is you become an accidental team builder. And what I mean by that is, it's not unusual for one of your customers to say to you, are there any opportunities for Kleeneze distributors near where I live? So, and obviously if someone asks you that, the answer of course is yes, so you want them to be in your team. So some people become team builders by accident, and you don't have to, but there are lots of great reasons why you should look to build a team. So first off, you can get a much bigger income building a team, and obviously there's a limit to the number of catalogues you can physically get out yourself, and so having a team and the residual income that comes with that can grow much bigger than you can earn from yourself. And the other big reason, and there are people who are earning big incomes. We were at the Millionaires a couple of weeks ago with Suhail Ahmed, who's earning £5,000 from just purely from his retail. That was his income, but I think the vast majority of that is just his own retail. That's fantastic, obviously. The problem with that is, if you're ever ill, or you twist an ankle, or you go away on holiday, then you're obviously not able to get your catalogues out, deliver your orders to your customers. So having a team gives you that secure income so that you get paid even when you're not able to do your own retail. So, what do you need to get started if you're thinking of doing some team building? Well, first thing that you should use and make good use of is EasyReach. And EasyReach has 2 great uses. So firstly, the messages that Gavin sends down every single day always have loads of great stories and people that have just started in the business, single mums, great stories of all sorts of different scenarios, so that when you're talking to prospects, if someone says, oh well, no, I can't really do it because of such and such, you can say, actually, there's a lady in just down the road from us who's got exactly the same situation as you, and she earns £200 a month, £200 a week, just doing this sort of part-time around the children, or whatever it might be. So getting all those great stories is excellent. But the other thing that's really useful is that when you're putting your adverts out for prospects, people who might be interested in earning some extra money, then you can put your EasyReach telephone number on rather than your own telephone number. And there are 2 reasons why you might want to do that. Firstly, if you're new to team building and somebody calls you up and you're not quite prepared for it, you might kind of stammer and splutter a little bit because you're not quite sure what to say to them. So pointing them at your EasyReach telephone number just allows them to leave a message, and you can then call them back at the time that you're prepared and ready to talk to them. And the other thing is, you will get people that will see your adverts in the middle of the night, they've just come off night shift, and they think, oh, I'll just give him a quick call and see if he's still up. And obviously you don't want your phone ringing at all times of the day if you're trying to get a good night's sleep. So sending everything to your EasyReach telephone number just saves you doing all of that. Okay, what else will you need? So you'll need some kind of diary, and this can be a paper diary or computer diary if you use kind of calendar systems, that sort of thing. You'll also need a lead book. So this is just a book that you keep a track of all of your leads, your prospects in. And again, that can be a notebook or a card system, or you can use it on the computer as well, whichever you feel most comfortable with. And obviously you'll need a telephone. You do need to be able to talk to your prospects, and you need some information to be able to send them. And I'll expand on that a little bit. So, how would you get started? A great way to get started, and I talked briefly about this a couple of weeks ago. A great way to get started and to practice is with your warm list. So start off, just make a list of 10 people that you know, and call them up just using what we call the third party approach. So that's basically just saying, hi John, it's Chris, how are you? Oh, excellent. John, I just wanted to ask you a favour, if that's okay. I've just started this new business, and I'd wondered if I could send you some information about it, just to see if you can think of anybody who might be interested in taking a look. So you're not asking them if they want to join, but you're asking them if they'll do you a favour. They're a friend, they know you, they'll do you a favour, they'll have a look at it and see if they can think of anybody. And then just keep adding people to that list every day. So you start off with 10, add 2 or 3 or 4 every day, and you've always got new people that you're going to be talking to. Once you've sent them the information and you have a little look at it, and they've had a chance to have a look at it, then make sure you follow up. Don't just wait for people to have a look at it and think, oh my god, this is fantastic, I must ring Chris back straight away. You will get occasionally people that do that, but a lot of people, you'll just need to ring them up, just say, hi John, thanks for having a look at that information I sent over. Did anyone come to mind? And what you're actually looking for here is not so much that they're immediately going to say, oh yes, Graham is really interested, he's sort of recently lost his job. You're kind of sowing your seeds at this stage. You're just letting these 10 people know that you've got an opportunity, that if they ever need to change their situation, they're looking to earn a bit of extra money or anything, then they're going to think of you. Because the last thing you want is somebody that you know to join Kleeneze in somebody else's business just because you never got round to talking to them about it. Okay, so the warm list is one of the ways of finding people that might be interested in joining Kleeneze and earning some extra money and joining your team. There are many, many other ways, and we're going to talk about it now. And generally, you'll come across this term, we call it fish pond activity. Got a question for you. I don't know if you've ever seen any serious anglers while they're fishing on the end of a pier or by a lake or anything like that. How many fishing rods do you see anglers using? In my day, it was like a bent twig and a piece of string with a worm dangling on the end of it, and that was it. But if you're more serious, yeah, Amanda and Andrew there, couple of rods there. Yeah, good. And the question is, okay, if one works, maybe 2 would work better, and maybe you could actually try 3. And oops. Oh, I think I skipped a bit there, sorry. So yes, the reason I'm saying that is that what anglers tend to find is that there'll be different kinds of fish that go to different parts of the water, the lake. Some fish a bit deeper, some a bit sort of shallower. Some will take one bait, some will take another bait. So rather than just going for only those fish that like wiggly worms near the surface of the water, by having a variety of different rods, you're obviously aiming to find a variety of different fish. And it's exactly the same when you're looking for new team members. So, a good thing to have to get started off is to create a website, and your upline can help you with this, but if you want a little bit of help or advice, I can help you with that as well. Set up a website with your own domain name. So, mine is www.freshstartsuccess.com. .co.uk, but have whatever you choose. Choose whatever names are available, and you will have. It's useful to have a contact manager and an autoresponder. So a company like Big Advertising, there's several other companies are available, but Big Advertising do this sort of software for you, and this will prove very helpful later on as I explain. So as well as having this website set up, you've got your warm list, so people that you can already know and talk to. And there are lots of other different ways of finding people that might be interested in earning some extra money. So, for example, shop window adverts work really well. Leafleting is a great way to target a particular area that you might be trying to recruit somebody in. Newspaper adverts, obviously, they're a good way of attracting attention as well. Wearing a badge, that's a great way. If you're in a queue and a post office queue or queuing for coffee or anything like that, and you've got an interesting badge saying something like, "Do you hate your job? Ask me about mine," or something like that to attract attention. And what I find with all these different ways of finding people that will be looking to earn some extra money is that they all have a cost associated, and it's usually either a financial cost or a cost in terms of your own time. So some of them, for example, a newspaper advert, that will cost you, it could be anything from £50 to £100 for a couple of small adverts inserted into a newspaper. So the cost of that is a financial cost. It takes you no time at all, a 5-minute phone call to put the advert in, but it obviously costs you money. The other, one of the other rods, the leafleting there, it's fairly cheap to buy a load of leaflets from the BIDS web shop, but it then takes you time to deliver those leaflets, so it doesn't cost you so much from a financial point of view. It costs you more from your own time and effort point of view. And that's true of lots of these. I'm not going to go through all of these in detail, but have a little look there. Obviously, if you've got a car and you're driving around, you can get car signs from the BIDS web shop as well. Business cards are great to hand out to people that you know. You can also put them on in cars, in car parks and so on. So you can use, there's two different types of business cards that I use. I've got one which has my name and details on it. It says that I'm a Kleeneze distributor and I'm looking for people that, either distributors, team leaders, that sort of thing. And I'll give that to people who already know I'm doing Kleeneze, just so that they've got my details. I have other business cards which are more open cards, which just will have something like work from home, flexible hours, for a free information pack, visit my website, or whatever, something along those lines. And those are cards you can just hand out to people and leave all over the place, leave in sort of in cafes, put them on cars, and that's a great way of kind of putting things out. And there again, that's quite an easy thing to do, just little bits here and there. You don't have to kind of go out with the intention of handing out 1,000 cards. You can just always have a handful of cards in your pocket or in your car, so whenever you go and park somewhere, on your way to the post office or the supermarket, just walk past 10 cars and you can put 10 cards out. It doesn't take you any more time than it would have done anyway. Posters, these work well on telegraph poles. Make sure you laminate them so they last a reasonable amount of time in this weather. Ad pool, Mr. Hawkes there runs a great example of an ad pool where he can get lots of adverts, lots of responses at a cheaper rate because he's buying them in bulk, and then he can sort of share them out amongst everybody, so that we share the cost and share the resources. So that's a good way of getting a regular supply of responses. Advert Anywhere and Private Eye are two companies that I certainly use. I know that lots of other Kleeneze distributors use them as well. So this is another example of where you can pay for the leads, so it takes you no time at all to do it. The leads literally just appear in your inbox, but there's a cost associated with them. So if you've got the money but don't have the time, then that might be a way of doing it. If you've got the time but not the money, then things like the 3-foot rule and leafleting would be a better way to do it for you. Another great source of prospects are your customers. Your customers are perfect because they already know you and like you and trust you, and they know and like and trust the products, so you're halfway there. So I always say to all my customers, whenever I'm delivering an order or anything like that, I'll have a leaflet in with their orders, and I'll be saying to them, we're just recruiting people in the area, or all over the country or wherever. If you know anybody who's looking to earn a bit of extra money, would you pass on my details? So my customers all know that I'm looking to recruit people, and hopefully your customers do too. So the point I'm making there, basically, don't just pick one and say, right, I'm just going to do that, because there will be some people that would never ever reply to a leaflet, but actually if they saw a shop window advert, they'd reply to that. And there'll be people that never do anything on the internet, but actually, if their mum said that their Kleeneze distributor is looking for somebody, then they would reply to that. So make sure you use as many of the rods as you can. The more you use, the more fish you will catch effectively. Okay, so once we've started to do some lead generation activities, what do you then do when somebody replies to one of your adverts? So the first thing that you should do is make sure you call them as quickly as possible, certainly within 24 hours, and depending on what kind of advert they've replied to. If they've replied to like an internet advert or a newspaper advert, chances are they've replied to several. So if you leave it for a couple of days before you ring them up, they may already have spoken to 3 or 4 other people and have already decided that something sounds interesting and they're going to have a look at that. And you've missed out on the opportunity. So you need to get to them as quickly as you can so that you can get the information to them, have a little bit of a chat with them. And on the subject of having a chat with them, you will make lots of mistakes at the beginning, and don't worry about thinking, oh well, I must wait until I've got my script perfect so I know exactly what I'm going to say and I'm going to sort of cover every possible scenario. And you will make lots of mistakes, and everybody does, and actually that's really the best way to learn. You're just having a very brief conversation with them. You're just trying to build a little bit of rapport so that they realize you're not just trying to sell them something, you're actually interested in their situation and you might have something that can help them. And give them a quick summary of the opportunity if they ask you any questions, but normally I just say, let me send you this information. I have a script if somebody wants to see a script, but really it's kind of 2 or 3 or 4 lines. Peter Rea did a couple of videos on YouTube. He's put them about a year ago, and that's a great script that he's got there. So if you go onto YouTube, have a quick look under Peter Rea, then you'll see his script there. And just remember, people join you, they don't join Kleeneze, and so you need to be excited, but not over the top. You kind of need to they need to understand that you're kind of interested in their situation and you're wanting to try to help them. So try to, as I said, try to get to know them as much as you can, but without sort of being prying, if that makes sense. And then send the information to them as soon as possible, so that as soon as they've spoken to you, if you can email it to them, then that's great. They can just have a look at it. Literally within 10 seconds of putting the phone down, they can go and have a look at what you've sent them. And the key thing there, don't try to sell it over the phone. If you try to explain to somebody how Kleeneze works and you put your catalogues out here and 2 days later you do this and you earn 10%, but it's not 10% of this bonus, it's 10% of the sales plan value, before you knew it, they're falling asleep. They're not interested in all that detail. They just want to know, do you have something that might be able to help them, and can they have a look at it? And that's all you're doing on the phone. Sometimes you'll get a specific question, and it's okay to clarify a few questions. You don't want to just sort of put the phone down because you don't want to answer anything, but we're not trying to get into 20-minute conversations here. Okay, so what kind of information do you send to your prospects? Well, as I've said, you don't try to sell it over the phone. The best information is there's a opportunity brochure and DVD that Kleeneze produced, so you can send that to people in the post. But also Kleeneze have created a great set of videos on YouTube. So if you're not sure how to find these, go into YouTube and do a search on Kleeneze HQ. That's the name of the account on YouTube. And there's all of the It Works videos. There's probably about a dozen of them now, covering all sorts of different situations. So there's Abby the student. There's sort of Bob, who was a teacher worried about his financial future, Bob Webb. There's Doug Roper's on there. There's Jackie White and Peter, who were both made redundant in the same week. So once you understand a little bit about this person's situation, you can send them a couple of videos maybe, targeted specifically at their situation as well. So that kind of, they can really relate to that, and that works. I find those videos work really, really well. So email it to them if possible. If you can get somebody's email address, apart from the speed with which you can get it to them, it allows you to build this large list of people who are interested in finding a way to earn a bit of extra money. And a lot of people will say no to you, and the important thing is that that just means not now. It doesn't mean never. And I mentioned earlier about having an autoresponder. So big advertising is one great example. I use a company called iContact. I think they're all fairly similar, to be honest. But what they allow you to do is build a big list of email addresses, and then once a week, once a day, once a month, however often you sort of feel that you want to email to your prospects, you can send an email to thousands and thousands of prospects. It can be personalized, so it sort of says, "Hi Graham, how are you?" or "Hi Susan," or so that, you know, whatever the person's name is, they will get an email addressed to them. And you can then, the autoresponders do all sorts of good things. So you can see if somebody's opened your email, if they've clicked on a link in the email. So all sorts of good information that gives you a clue who might be starting to get interested again. If they start looking at lots of the information that you're sending them, then that sounds like it might be worth giving them another call to see if it's something that they might be interested in. Okay, what other information might you send to your prospects? Well, there's some how to get started leaflets from head office, the company magazine, Time Talk, is that right? Team Talk, sorry, Team Talk. They're the company magazine. I tend to send these the extra information on to somebody who's kind of wavering, if you like. They're interested. They're not quite sure if it's right for them. They're asking some questions. They want a bit of time to think about it. And I tend to sort of then send them some physical information so they can have a look and a feel. The Team Talk magazine is great because it's a really professional, well-produced magazine. Shows them all sorts of information about, you know, who's being awarded this, the details of the conference in Dubai and the Maldives, all those sorts of things. So that's a great thing to send to somebody who's kind of not quite sure. Copies of checks with testimonials are another great thing to do. Gavin does loads and loads of these on his website, so there's no excuse for not being able to find a story and a testimonial of somebody who matches the situation that your prospect is in. And I tend to send out, you know, like there'll be a testimonial of someone who's just started. Maybe, you know, they're just earning their £50 a week, just got to the 10% level. And somebody who's maybe a gold distributor, so showing that they're earning £1,000 a month more, so, you know, enough to replace a full-time job. And then a really good one. So, you know, some of the ones from Neil Young, for example, and Abigail recently, Abigail Courtley and so on. Big checks showing a fantastic lifestyle. So whatever it is that that person's looking for at that time, you've got a great example of what they can achieve. Press articles are a great way of getting the kind of third-party credibility of the company. And again, head office have got lots of examples of newspaper cuttings that are, you know, there are images of them. So even if you don't actually have the original newspaper yourself, you can send the copy of it to via the email. Excuse me. So, having spoken briefly to the prospect and sent them some information, you need to keep a track of where they are in your process, if you like. So for every prospect that you speak to, write down their name, their contact details, and I would write down their current status. And what I mean by that is, you know, if you've just spoken to them and just sent them the email, then you need to know that. If you sent them stuff in the post, then obviously you need to allow a day or two for that to arrive. Any useful current information about them. So I always write down, you know, if they've said to me that they're a mum, they've got a couple of kids, one's at school and one's at home, so they need something flexible to fit around the school run, then I always make a note of all of that so you can refer back to it at the time that you call them back up again. And also that's useful for sending, you know, like I would send a video of Grace Sassanelli, who she sort of gave up her full-time job to do Kleeneze so she could be around for the children. So make sure you make a note of that personal information. Make a note of when you spoke to them and when you're next going to call them up, when you're next going to contact them. Because if you're only doing one or two a day, then you can probably just about remember who you spoke to and what they said. But once you get down to sort of 10, 20, 30, 40 leads a week or more, which the serious team builders are doing, then it's not possible to memorize all of that. So you need a way of tracking it. You can either do this on a notepad or on a little card filing system, or you can do it all on the computer. As I said, not the autoresponders, the contact management software that I mentioned earlier will help you with that as well. Okay, what else can you do for your prospects? I always invite all of my prospects to events. So again, using my contact manager, I can email out to everybody saying, we've got this big millionaires conference coming up. If you would like to come along to get a really good feel for what's going on, then please come along. Guests are free. You can also do it for local meetings. So our local opportunity meeting down here in Hampshire and Dorset that Sue Marshall run, and I invite all of my local prospects to that. And again, if you can get a prospect along to an event, then firstly, obviously they're showing some commitment anyway. They've given up a couple of hours of an evening to come over. And secondly, that's a great way just to show them the buzz of having a bunch of Kleeneze distributors together rather than just you waffling to them over the phone, as it were. So, as I've said there, local open evenings are great. Millionaires, colleges, company events. If you do have a guest coming along, make sure that you just make them aware of the dress code, a smart casual. If they come along to a business meeting and they're a painter decorator and they come covered in paint, they may feel a bit uncomfortable if everyone else is in their kind of smart suits and things. So just give them a little heads up. They may still decide to come along in their casual gear anyway, which is fine as long as they feel comfortable. Make sure you arrive at the event early so that you're there when they arrive and they're not feeling a bit lost. And make sure you introduce them to other people that you know, other members of your team, the people who are organising the meeting. Make sure they feel welcome. Okay, so you've sent all this information to them. You've had a quick chat with them. You've maybe invited them to a meeting. Now, the next big step, and this will make a huge difference to the number of people that join your business, and that is following up. As I've said there, if you try just sending emails to people without talking to them and just expect them to have a look at it and come back to you and say, yes, I'd like to join, you will get the occasional person that will do that. But you will get 10 times more people that will say they'll join when you ring them up and just ask them about it. What did they like about it? Was there any questions they had? And because it just allows you to build that rapport, and it gets them a feel for what kind of person you're going to be like if they're going to be working with you. So what I normally do, just give them a ring back after they've had a look at the information and just say, what did you think? And then shut up, let them talk. Don't try to sell them the opportunity when they've been trying to look at it for themselves. So just ask them what they think about it. And just agree with them. People will say, oh, I'm not sure it's right for me. I think there might be somebody else in the area that does it. I'm not sure I really want to spend this much money on it. Whatever it might be. A great way to get them to understand how it can help them is what we call the feel, felt, found. And I'm sure a lot of you will have come across this before, but basically, if somebody says, you know what, I think there's somebody else doing it in my area, I'm not sure that I'll be able to make any money out of it, I always say, you know what, I know exactly how you feel. To be honest, I felt exactly the same when I first started, because Sue Marshall, my sponsor, lives only 200 yards from me, and she'd been doing the business for 10 years before I even started. And I thought, oh, she must have every single customer in the town. But what I found was, because she's just delivering to her regular customers now, I delivered to my catalogues to people in between her customers, and I picked up loads of customers from there. So it actually works really, really well. So you're not disagreeing with them. You're not saying, oh, no, don't worry about that, it'll be fine. You're kind of agreeing with them because actually you felt the same when you first looked at it. And that's a great way to kind of get them around to understanding the way that Kleeneze works. And the most important thing I feel is don't try to persuade them to join. They need to decide for themselves. If you kind of convince them that, oh yeah, you'll make lots of money, there'll be loads of customers in your area, don't worry about it. The first time it rains or the first time they get a catalogue that they can't get back or anything, they're going to blame it on you. But if they can decide for themselves, then they've got a lot more commitment to making sure it works for them. Okay, so once you've done all of that, you've spoken to some leads, you've sent them the information, you've had a follow-up call with them, you'll then get somebody who says, actually yes, I'd like to join. What are the next steps? And the next steps are all about sponsoring a distributor. And normally what I would recommend is if it's the first time you've done this, get some help from your upline. I mean, it's not difficult, but the first sort of times, there are often steps during the sponsoring process that can trick people up if you're not familiar with it. One thing I would say is always do the sign up with them. The way you get the sign up started is that you send them an email. And it's tempting to say, well, they wanted to do it, so I just sent them the email and left them to get on with it. But, you know, I guarantee you will lose 80% of people that want to join your business if you just leave them to get on with it. So try to do it face to face if they're nearby, or on the phone. It'll only take 20 to 30 minutes plus, you know, time for a few questions. But, you know, if you just leave them to get on with it, as soon as they get to something like the credit agreement or trying to work out whether they need a trading facility or cash with order, they're going to get confused. They're going to think, oh, I don't really want to ring him back to ask a question because it might make me look stupid. So they just change their mind. And then they convince themselves that it's not right for them. So make sure you do it with them. Now, one side story to this is at the Dubai conference, Lisa has promised to streamline this sign-up process no end. From the screenshots that we saw, it's going to be amazingly quick. Literally sort of 2 or 3 clicks and you're there. So I expect that this process to get a lot quicker. It's yeah, I think Lisa said sort of sometime in the new year that'll be coming. So watch this space. So how do you send them the email to sign up? Well, you just log on to kleeneze.co.uk, log on to your account, go into the online registration screen, and then you just put in your account number or the account number of the person that you want the new prospect to be in the team of, if that makes sense. So if you're recruiting on behalf of one of your team members, for example, and their email address, and then just choose which starter kit they're going for. One thing that I've found really useful for me is that if you go into the DSA, you can get the screenshots of what the screens are that they are going through. So the online registration guide. And I printed those off, and then basically as they're going through each screen on their computer, I'm kind of turning the pages so I can see exactly, well, pretty much what they've got in front of them. And that just makes it a lot easier to guide them through the whole process there, because you can just anticipate, you know, what the screen they're coming up to next. As I've said there, you can anticipate questions that they might have, and then once they get to the end and they're all finished, I just very quickly welcome them to the team, and usually either now or, you know, if they want to have a bit of a chat, or in a phone call the next day, I try to get an understanding quickly of what they're looking for out of Kleeneze. Because depending on whether they're just looking for £50 a week, whether they're looking to replace a full-time income because they've just been made redundant, or if they're looking to build some serious money, this might determine how you start off their training. Okay, so that's the end of tonight's webinar. Where are we? 8:33 I make it, so just over half an hour. As you can see there, we've just finished the team building. The next week, the next webinar that I'm going to go through is all about supporting your new team members. So once you've been through that first team building activity, you've got 1 or 2 team members on, what do you need to do to support your team members to help them get whatever they're looking for out of Kleeneze? Now, unfortunately, that won't be next Wednesday because being Christmas Day, I'm going to give you all a day off. But just a 1 day off, mind. So don't take it too easy. Right, I'm going to stop my recording